This is a presentation about the Financial Audit Report, Queensland State Government 2015-16 Results of Financial Audits, Report 8 for financial year 2016-17. Please note, this is a summary of the report to Parliament. The full report can be read on our website. This report summarises our results of the financial position, performance and sustainability of the Queensland State Government, and the timeliness and quality of financial reporting by public sector entities controlled by the state government. Each year, the Treasurer prepares consolidated state government financial statements. The consolidated financial statements of the state government in 2015-16 complied with legislation and accounting standards and can be relied upon. These statements provide a consolidated view of the financial performance and position of all entities controlled by the state government. The statements report the results of the general government sector, which includes all government departments, and the total state sector, which comprises the general government sector plus other entities controlled by the state, including government-owned corporations such as Energex and QIC Limited. I'll now turn to the financial results. The general government sector reported a positive net operating balance for the third consecutive year. This means the revenues generated by the general government sector exceeded the costs incurred from its day-to-day operations. The total state sector reported a net operating deficit, but did report an improvement on the prior year. The difference between the general government sector result and the total state sector result is partially due to $2.7 billion in dividends and tax equivalents paid by government-owned corporations. The general government sector recognises these as revenues, but they are eliminated in the total state sector because they represent transactions within the total state sector. This year, the Queensland Government received an increased share of the goods and services tax revenue collected by the Australian Government. However, less funding was received from the other grants due to Australian Government's decision to defer funding under natural disaster relief and recovery arrangements to future financial years. Employee expenses for the general government sector increased by 7.8%, largely due to the number of employees increasing by 4.5%. From 2016-17, the government will introduce a new fiscal principle that is aimed at ensuring the overall growth in public sector employment does not exceed average population growth in Queensland. The state's net worth, which is the surplus of assets over liabilities, at 30 June 2016 was $191.9 billion for the general government sector and $182.1 billion for the total state sector. This represents an increase for both the general government sector and the total state sector on the prior year. As a result of actions taken under the government's debt action plan, general government sector debt decreased by $7.6 billion. This was largely achieved through two means. Firstly, the government withdrew $3.4 billion of investments set aside to fund future long service leave liabilities to pay down borrowings. Secondly, the government facilitated the transfer of $2.8 billion in general government sector debt to government-owned corporations through the payment of special dividends. The reduction of general government sector debt resulted in a significant improvement in the debt-to-revenue ratio at 30 June 2016. This means the general government sector has capacity to service debt from its revenues. The financial statements of most state public sector entities in 2015-16 complied with legislation and accounting standards and can be relied upon. We issued unmodified audit opinions on 221 of the 233 sets of financial statements of state public sector entities completed for the 2015-16 financial year. The only modified audit opinions issued related to small entities that were not material to the consolidated state government financial statements. State public sector entities are also generally preparing their financial statements in a timely manner. Of the 30 state public sector entities that did not meet their legislative timeframes for financial reporting, only 4 are included in the consolidated state government financial statements. This year, we introduced a traffic light system for reporting on the quality and timeliness of financial reporting processes adopted by 21 government departments. This identified that while 20 of 21 departments met legislative timeframes for financial reporting, opportunities still exist to improve the timeliness of their financial reporting practices. In particular, departments with material, property, plant and equipment balances could do more to ensure they complete their asset valuations in a timely manner. This report also summarises the results of our audits over the effectiveness of the internal controls maintained by 21 departments. This year, our audits of the departments identified 129 control deficiencies that were referred to management for action at 13 of the 21 departments. Of these, only 2 were considered significant deficiencies in internal control. The first was a deficiency in the Public Safety Business Agency's risk assessment framework. The second was Queensland Fire and Emergency Services relying on an out-of-date and unsupported payroll system. Although the remaining deficiencies are not considered high risk, they are matters that should be resolved to ensure a good control environment to support high-quality financial statements. Overall, our audits confirmed that we could rely on the systems of internal control in conducting our audits. The internal control frameworks implemented at the 21 departments are sufficient to mitigate the risks that could prevent the departments from achieving reliable financial reporting. The most common cause of control deficiencies is the inconsistent performance of routine control activities. Accordingly, there is an opportunity for departments to ensure that the control activities are implemented and operating more consistently and effectively across all transactions. Thank you for listening. We trust this presentation has been of value. For more information on the issues, opportunities and recommendations highlighted in the summary presentation, please see the full report. Queensland State Government 2015-16 Results of Financial Audits on our website under Reports and Resources at qao.qld.gov.au.